Jason Ayto leaves Arsenal after interim spell as sporting director. To be fair, that's probably going to be music to a lot of people's ears, rightly or wrongly. Obviously, it's never a boring day where Arsenal's transfer news, us on the football pitch, and of late, really and truly, or I say of late, probably when Edu left, we're all keen to see what's going on now. Maybe Jason Ito's roles become obsolete. Maybe the whole bedding in period for Berta, because obviously Berta's above him. But in terms of, working practices, any deals Arsenal have being done in the process where Berta's going to have to pick it up, Ito's job's kind of been done in that regard. I must admit, it's got nothing to do with the video, yeah, but come on, man. You're seeing Liverpool win the league and they've already, or it seems that they're going to wrap up the vert still. And apparently they were talking in January. So again, you don't need to, you watch other people's pots of rice, yours starts burning, but we need players, man. We need to get that done, people, if I'm completely honest with you. But yeah, where Jason Ito's concerned, people, we're going to read it in just a sec. I think for me, whether you like him or not, everybody, part of me has dreams, ambitions, aspirations. Obviously, the role that Edu left and Berta now occupies, Jason Ito, along with Berta and several other candidates were interviewed. So clearly, a bit like Edu wanted, I think Edu wanted a more senior position than he already has. And you could argue he's got that. He's managing a portfolio of clubs. Gary Neville's been banned from one of the clubs, apparently, for tomorrow in relation to, the multi-club structure there. The Nottingham Forest owner has, owing to his comments up. Cronkies, I don't think the Arsenal like you lot or Arsenal fans like you lot that much. I think one thing that will make you be a legend is if you ban Gary Neville from the stadium as well. But yeah, man, I just think Jason Ito has said, you know what, I'm ready for the next step. But for what it's worth, Arsenal assistant sporting director Jason Ito has left the club. As we know, Ito was promoted to the sporting director role on an interim basis, and he's probably got a taste and a thirst for power now in that regard. After Edu resigned from his position in November, having previously been the Brazilian's assistant, Ito was a strong candidate in the process to be appointed to the role on a permanent basis. But in March, Arsenal appointed Andrea Berta to be Edu's successor. He's come all the way from being a scout, people. He's been at Arsenal for a decade. He will now apparently serve his period of gardening leave, so I assume he's going to be here for the summer, and will leave the club in order to further his career and pursue other opportunities. Fair enough, people. When Edu was appointed to become Arsenal's first ever sporting director in November 2022, he asked for Ito to be appointed assistant sporting director. The 39-year-old served an expansive apprenticeship under Edu, working across the men's first team, women's team, and academy. He led the coordination of scouting and recruitment, and as time went by, has been increasingly involved in negotiations over transfers and contracts. In the summer of 2024, he was heavily involved in discussions over the signings of both Calafiori and Mikel Merino. People at 39, that's quite young. He's still got a very impressive CV. As we know, when Edu departed, he stepped up, and it seems like he took over the baton where it seems to be getting over the line where Real Sociedad's Martin Zubamendi is concerned. We still haven't seen anything in relation to that. So wish you all the best, man. Got one life to live. Go and get your personal and private goals. People, smash the like button. The goal of this video is 100 likes. Mikel Arteta on Berta did say, I think he's going to be a big contributor with his experience and the fact that he's already won in very difficult contexts, and the way he's built teams, he is exceptional. I think we have to share that responsibility, and Andrea is going to be a key part to driving the plans and the ideas we have, and to try to execute them. We are here to support him. Fair play. It's believed, according to ITKs, that Sesko is the first choice striker option for Arsenal. Now, we see conflicting reports from accredited journalists, the ITKs of this world. Until we see anyone holding shirts, it just presents good talking points, people. On the topic of that, would you not be happy with Sesko? And completely off topic, if Gyokeres doesn't sign for Arsenal, yeah, I did ask this in a live stream. Who would you lot prefer out of Vlahovic and Sesko? Like, they're the only two strikers. It's either them two or nothing. Forget all the other business. That's something. Apparently, one of the ITK said, as of 8 p.m. tonight, Arsenal have not engaged in club-to-club talks with Leipzig over a potential transfer for Benjamin Sesko. So what conclusions do you draw there? We've done the groundwork. We've scouted him extensively. Maybe we just haven't opened up that official communication channel. And with Leipzig missing out on Champions League football and being respectfully a selling club, I wonder if that's a spring in not just Arsenal steps, but Sesko's linked with everyone, like every striker is linked with everyone. Sky Germany is going to step further, though. And as I said, conflicting reports. Arsenal are now in concrete talks with RB Leipzig regarding Benjamin Sesko. Marcel Schaefer and Andrea Berta are in contact, while Arsenal are also monitoring other strikers such as Viktor Gyokeres. Their pursuit of Sesko is serious. Mikel Arteta is a big admirer of the 21-year-old from Leipzig. His release clause for the summer stands at 80 million euros. So what's that? Maybe 67, 8, 9 early 70 millions. I'm not sure. So it technically is more expensive based on reports than Gyokeres. Obviously, you can caveat that with Sesko's younger, he's 21, yada, yada, yada. So we'll have to see, but we have to be able to pivot, in which has been an issue. On the topic of Gyokeres, apparently Juventus really like him, and he's actually a name that they're looking at. Now, I don't know if they're actually looking at him, but they want to sell Vlahovic. You can see how the merry-go-round rumors begin. And it says his release clause or his asking price is 60 to 70 million euros, people. When you look at the two strikers, where you got Sesko, 6 assists, 21 goals in 45 games, people played. Gyokeres has 12 assists, 53 goals in 51 played. I know it's a bit misconstrued, and you know what? Sesko's stats are quite impressive, but Gyokeres is like, bro, you've got more goals than games played and assists to match. Now, we know he probably hasn't scored in every one of those 50-odd games. There's probably braces here, a dry spell here, etc. But women lie, men lie, numbers don't. And there's a lot of factors as to why both could be good signings or not, or concerns or whatever. I think the underlying factor is whether it's these two, any other strikers, we need a number 9, people, and then we'll deal with everything else later. So we'll have to see what's being done. Goldberg, I don't know. The ITK wars are alive and kicking. I was told by 2 very good sources that I trust extraordinarily that Viktor Gyokeres is absolutely Arsenal's #1 striker target. There's a lot of people inside Arsenal, including Berta, that want him, and it could be a lot further down the line than reported, people. In relation to Rodrigo, there's been talks regarding Rodrigo to Arsenal in recent hours, but a move is very complicated. Despite willing to leave Real Madrid, the bigger issue is his wage demands of around 10 million euros net salary, which Arsenal aren't prepared to offer. You know, top class. I don't know if you have him as world class, but top class, world class players with X factor, they're going to come on hefty wages, essentially, people. And again, on the topic of conflicting reports, some say they want to sell Rodrigo, some say he's keen to stay, some say he's not going to make a decision on his future until he has a conversation with Xabi Alonso, people. As we know, according to reports in Germany, Arsenal are allegedly in concrete talks for the Slovenian international Sesko, and we've been keen on him for well over a year. Apparently, he was our top target last summer, and he would have been open to the move. We all know it didn't happen. He was left impressed by our project, but he ultimately felt that it was too soon for such a move. Respectfully to what we've seen with Marino, and I do think Kai Havertz, there's elements of scapegoating, but being devil's advocate, being a bit mundane, is Sesko the right guy then? Because surely if you're, you could say Man United because they need a number 9. You could say Chelsea. If you're a cold-hearted killer number 9, yeah, there's different types of strikers and all this, but traditional, a striker that scores goals, yeah, and you've got this potential. Should you not be looking at Arsenal like, I'm impressed by the project, London aspect, all those kind of things, and I'm competing with Gabriel Jesus, who can't stay fit and can't score goals, respectfully to him. You've got the false 9 options of Martinelli and Trossard, which we don't really see. We wouldn't have seen it at the time, but Marino up front, Kai Havertz was the striker. If you feel you can't finesse them or displace these kind of options, because none of them are out and out strikers, quote unquote, bar Jesus to a degree, should you really be the guy we need? I'm not sure. But yeah, I think this is saying the same thing, people. Obviously, Berta is apparently trying to drive the price down, and we know how the variable things have got to work, people. Sesko, once again, has a variable release clause whose value changes based on his performances. This season, his price has skyrocketed to over 80 million euros. This hefty sum last year, Sesko would have cost between 50 and 65 million euros, and has seen Arsenal develop reservations in recent times, but it seems that the Gunners are willing to take a punt on the Slovenian after all. So we'll have to see, man. It's just bare different things. Liverpool apparently have joined the race for Gyokeres. You lot are greedy, man. I know you can't be complacent when you've won the league, and to be fair, Liverpool's ownership, I believe they owe the fans and they owe Arne Slot a decent transfer window. But imagine Gyokeres and Wirtz, and they might get Kirkes, and they've got Frimpong. And my club, I ain't seen nothing yet. Like I said, I shut my mouth to the end of the window. But boy, apparently Liverpool have joined the race for Gyokeres, which, I mean, it's a big club in Liverpool. They've won the league. It makes sense. Again, cold-hearted. Even Liverpool, going back to what I said earlier, if you're out and out number 9, yeah, as good as Liverpool are, whatever you say about my club, Chelsea, United, the striker market is dead. Like, this is probably in my 30 years, not necessarily this year, but the lowest kind of pool for evident striker quality. So strikers all the range. So if you've got these clubs onto you and none of them have out and out forwards, or you could say Darwin Núñez, who apparently Slot's not convinced on, surely you make it happen. We are told the Reds have made contact with the Sweden internationals reps to sound out a possible move. Liverpool, like many top clubs, are in the market for an elite striker. Sources with knowledge of Liverpool's approach suggest that Liverpool would be willing to match any offers that come in for the 26-year-old, with Gyokeres expected to be available for around 65 to 70 million euros. However, the talks unlikely to have gone beyond any exploratory stages, as Gyökeres is not yet willing to enter into formal negotiations over his future. Sporting have the chance of doing a domestic double on Sunday, and his full focus is on the Taça de Portugal final against Benfica. We hear that Gyökeres has not yet made a final decision on where he wants to play next season. That will only come after Sporting campaign concludes this weekend. I hear that, and everything's there. Everything makes sense, but he's been linked with a bunch of clubs and people change things. But you look at Verts, we hear Liverpool, based on what reporters are saying, that Liverpool started negotiations with Verts in January. My point of saying that is to say this, bearing in mind, Gyökeres ain't no spring chicken like he's just arrived here. He was doing it last year. You'd imagine everybody's shown interest, everybody's pitched their projects, everybody's been talking, etc. Surely if he is going to leave, he knows his club. Arsenal are still in the race. A move to Manchester United is unlikely. There have been several sensational reports on Gyökeres' future in recent days and weeks. Sources close to the player have dismissed suggestions that he already has an agreement with Arsenal. Gyökeres does remain the Gunners' top target for the 9 position. Andrea Berta has been focusing heavily on the striker market since his arrival at the Emirates. As previously reported, reps from Arsenal will be in attendance at the Cup final on Sunday. Gyökeres is, of course, aware of Arsenal's interest, but he doesn't view a move to North London as the be-all and end-all. He's playing his cards close to his chest and will make the best decision for himself and his career after Sunday's final. He is willing to consider all options, but there's no denying that Arsenal hold appeal, as do Liverpool. In relation to Man United, apparently their pursuit is not as advanced as has been claimed. The only clubs beside Arsenal to have made what one source termed solid approaches are not Newcastle and Nottingham Forest, as we revealed in December and March. He turns 27 in June, people. So it's an interesting decision he has to make at interesting period. We were linked with Rafa Leao. Apparently Bayern Munich are keeping a close eye on him. He does have a release clause, I believe, of 100 odd million quid, and he does have a deal at AC Milan currently until 2028. Apparently Xavi Simons is no longer a topic at Bayern Munich. Where does he end up, people? Is he someone you would go for? Liverpool apparently have joined the race to sign Nico Williams, with Real Madrid, Arsenal and Chelsea all keen on the Athletic Bilbao winger. Vlahovic wants to relaunch his career in the Premier League. Vlahovic is on Arsenal shortlist, and he will immediately pack his bags and make himself available to Mikel Arteta if they were to make a move. Juventus' starting point is 50 million euros. Would you not go for that? I've covered this already, but Deco basically said, if I paraphrase, that we were interested in Nico Williams. He wasn't giving us the signals that Dani Almo, who obviously ultimately ended up at Barcelona, was. Apparently on Williams, Arteta has held direct talks with Williams to present the project to him, and apparently sources have indicated that Arteta's pitch looks to have put them in a commanding position to get the signature of Nico Williams. We've also been linked with Rodrigo, Nico Williams and Ademola Lookman, and apparently Arsenal are very active in the transfer market and are holding talks with agents and clubs for wingers. Rodrigo is at the top of the list, while Ademola Lookman is also an option due to his versatility. Would you like have Lookman, people? And again, apparently we have plans to reinforce our attack. Lookman, Rodrigo, these lot are forever linked with us. Aston Villa have been back to trigger the release clause of Garcia. Now, you've got your countryman in Una Emre, and who's their sporting director called again? Monchi there. Garcia is someone that seems to stock is rising, linked with us. Don't know if he wants to be the number 2. It looks like Emi Martinez could be on his way out of Aston Villa. Naturally, Garcia's name is going to be utilised. He has a £21 million release clause in his contract, and apparently Arsenal and Newcastle are both fond of Garcia ahead of the summer window. But sources have also told Football Insider that Aston Villa are well placed to seal a transfer thanks to Emre's connections. I mean, you play for a big club that's in Europe, under a good manager, fellow countryman, and you'd be the number 1. I don't know if you're going to get that. Arsenal, Kivior to accept Juventus offer after exit claim. He's open to a move to Juventus as interest continues to build ahead of a potential move away from Arsenal this summer. Would you do the Vlahovic plus, money plus Kivior for Vlahovic? I don't know. Now, I would like to keep Kivior. I think his stock has risen. I think he's a good squad player. I think I've got a newfound respect for him, but I understand if he wants to leave. And while he shouldn't be the first out of the door, it's all fun and games saying, yeah, get rid of Tomiyasu, Jesus, Zinchenko, Trossard, Martinelli. Somebody even say Martin Odegaard, Reece Nelson, the list, Zinchenko, the list goes on and on and on, yeah? Whether you want them to go or not, I hear it. But Kivior seems to still have a market. When he weren't playing, whether they're bidding or not, the Italian teams were still interested. You'd imagine that his stock is rising. And if we do need to make money, forget the squad depth, which we can't forget because that's the main reason. This could be something. This could be a money maker potentially. Whether Juventus and all the Italian clubs have the money to do that, I don't know. Apparently, he wants to leave in search of first-team football. So we'll have to see. Kivior is assessing his situation at Arsenal. He knows how he feels about his role at Arsenal. and whether he's going to get the type of playing time he wants when everybody is fit and available, probably not. But maybe Arteta learns to rotate and trust other players potentially based on how this season panned out. And for those above Arteta, we need bodies as well as quality people. From what I hear, Juventus and a few other Italian clubs are looking at him. He moved to Arsenal from an Italian club, so he knows the league and the country, which is always a boost for these type of players. A move to Juventus is one he'll be interested in, especially because Conte could be going there despite winning the league with Napoli, if they can meet Arsenal's asking price. It will depend on whether the interested clubs make a move and whether Arteta wants to let him go. And we have heard this week Trossard is apparently keen to sign a new deal, and Arsenal are keen to get that done. Apparently, we've got a 60 million price tag placed on the head of Kivio, 70 million euros. So I think that rules out the Italian clubs, but there might be other Premier League teams. Crystal Palace had inquiries which were not back, so I guess we just don't know what is going to go on for Kivio, if I'm honest with you. Arsenal have no desire to let Nwaneri leave. We have seen rumours with Chelsea owing probably to his contract, and apparently Rodrigo is leaning towards staying at Real Madrid, with his wage demands likely to price Arsenal out of a move should he leave the Spanish capital. We've kind of seen that already. His preference, away from the wages, his preference, it says here, is to stay at Real Madrid and fight for his place. He's eager to sit down with Alonso as soon as possible and discover his role. What if Alonso says, I'm gonna build the team around you? Now, managers lie. We've seen managers probably sell dreams to players as the season plays out. That doesn't happen. But imagine he comes through on that. Should Alonso decide Rodrigo will not have a prominent role to play, the winger will consider one of many offers he is receiving from the Premier League. And once again, he will come with probably big money. You see everything from 70 all the way to 100 million. And it comes with a net salary of 10 million euros. It happens. Apparently, we've opened talks with Sesko once again, and Arteta prefers him to Gyokeres. And we're led to believe Berta prefers Gyokeres over Sesko. So we'll have to see. For me, just make sure you bring in the players we need so we can move forward as a football club and not cry about the same things.